All right, Pete Winarski is here. I am with you, going live across multiple locations. We are live on the Pete Winarski page. We are live in the group, More Revenue, More Profit. And we're live on the Pete Winarski YouTube channel. So we're in a few places simultaneously. And if you're tracking closely, you know what's going on. Then, of course, you'll notice that this live content ends up repurposed on our podcast, which is called Business Results Radio. So you can catch this in a lot of different ways. I'm really glad you're here with us today. Pete Winarski, founder and CEO of Win Enterprises, LLC. And we are here to help you really think today about your systems and processes. And a lot of times, just so you see, where do I come up with these crazy topics for these Facebook Lives? Well, a lot of times it's personal experience. It's a conversation that we just had with a client, or it's something even in the home, right? And in this case, I have a story that I'm going to share with you to illustrate the point in a few minutes that has to do with an experience at home. And the smack in the face was like, we don't have a system or a process in place that's working and designed around this. So that's the punchline. Now let's get to the content, right? So the moral of the story first is you gotta have them. You gotta get a system in place, and naturally automated is the best. And I don't mean automated by you have to go and have, like, a lot of times you think of a robot, that's automation, right? You think of pick and place multi-axis robot in a factory that's picking things up and placing them over here, or doing some welding or whatever. The Fab Tech is a conference that happens every year in November, and interestingly, I've spoken at it for a number of years, something like 5 years in a row or something. And you walk the showroom floor, and it's amazing with these big giant honking pieces of equipment that automate the way things fabricate. Fab tech, right? Fabrication technology. So cutting and welding and grabbing and bending and twisting. And so this is where I've seen new tech over the years, like 3D printing, and it's amazing what you can create with some of these things. So that's what you think of a lot of times with automation, or you think of a IT solution and automating processes that were done manually in the computer, typing away, click, 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 and then automating them with the press of a button, and something magical happens behind the scenes. Maybe it's in the cloud, I'm not sure, but yes, automation can be that. It can be automating the processes. Either the thought processes, or which is now getting into AI. Actually, I just realized I crossed over into industry 4.0 for a second there. But the point of automation is really about, making it repeatable and simple, and maybe making it more productive for you and for your workers and your team and all that. But it doesn't necessarily, when I'm talking systems and processes, it doesn't have to be a robot or a machine doing something for you or instead of you. What I'm really after here is, well, what are the process steps in the first place? So think of wherever you're getting results that just aren't up to the level that you want them to be. Challenge, well, what's the process behind this? And can we streamline the process or reorganize the process in a different way? The steps, the step 1, step 2, step 3. Do we even have a process in place? And then you can make some observations and judgments about process improvement, right? So think about what kind of output you could be getting, and a non-standard process, or not even having a system or process in place, is just leaving things to random chance, really, right? I mean, think about it. Maybe you have multiple people who all do a job, and everyone's doing it their own way. They haven't all decided that they were going to do it the exact same way. In fact, that would be one step in the right direction, because then you're eliminating the variability of, people choosing to do it one way versus another. And you theoretically study the process, figure out, well, what are the best steps in the best sequence, and then making some judgments about deciding, hey, gang, all you people who do this same thing, let's agree and let's reach consensus. And maybe you're involved in debating the merits of this way versus that way, but you end up with an agreement to do the process, follow the process, and do it the same. You eliminate variability in how the work is done. You create more reliability in the steps and more predictability, especially if you're measuring productivity and you are scheduling that, someone who follows the process one way and someone who follows it another way, their output rates may be totally different, right? So this gives you a sense of predictability. It also, predictability and reliability leads to a better quality output, right? So these are all things, rather than leaving it up to randomness. And part of the thing is, good intentions are usually at place, or usually at play, or usually in place. You choose the phraseology that you want to use here. But good intentions are certainly part of what you want to have for yourself as you attack and enter into a new project, or you set some goals and then you go after, well, how am I going to achieve those goals? And you have the highest intentions on what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And hopefully so do your team members, as your team is, thriving to achieve and, really getting, they're doing their part. But if everybody's doing it differently, or there's no process, good intentions don't replace a good process, right? I mean, it's just part of what you have to have in place. So for your sanity, for your team's sanity, get processes in place. So let me illustrate what I'm talking about here with the story that I had referenced earlier. And so think of the books by David Bach. He's got the series about Automatic Millionaire, Retire Late, Finish Rich, all these things. And what he's talking about in a lot of these is setting up some processes around your personal finances, right? So I've got a couple teenage sons and they're working. And so they don't yet have saving habits. And we want to build some habits. We want to build some habit around, they work, money comes in, through the form of a paycheck. They then deposit the checks into their accounts. They then invest the check, or invest a partial amount based on what they received. And then their wealth grows. I mean, that's the David Bach sort of formula, if you will. Well, what I just described isn't happening that way, right? Best intentions from me, best intentions from them. They're like, oh, yeah. I want to save up some money. I want to have, let it stack up. But it wasn't automatic, wasn't automated. There was no system or process around that. So then you get into some of the systems. Well, what are some of the systems? Direct deposit. Magically, right? You don't have to go home with a piece of paper called a check that you then open up and endorse and then deposit. And of course, you could deposit it with your mobile phone these days, or you could show up at the bank, fill out a deposit slip, and deposit the money. So direct deposit is an automated step in this example, right? You get the idea of how easy it is. You put a system and process in place called direct deposit. Then what if you had some automated transfers from that account into the investment account? So I enrolled my financial advisor into this conversation and said, hey, the boys are working. I want them to take a chunk, a percent of what they take home and give it over to an account that you set up for them, and let the money grow over time. And then before, they won't even know it, but they'll save, hundreds and hundreds of dollars over the course of a year. And, because they're, certainly, young enough that it's somewhat invisible to them, because their expenses are really discretionary. They have saving for longer term things. My son Nathan saved up and bought a car this summer. Good for him, right? That was fantastic. I mean, it would really reward and honor the way that he did that, and he had the goal and he saved up for it. So that was good intentions with a high enough sense of desire and purpose that he made that happen. But that doesn't work across everything equally. So that's why systems and processes matter. So if you took out, some percent of every check you get and made that the transfer amount. So, if you know how much you want that to be, automated monthly transfer. Now, with nothing to think about, you can end up with that account, that investment account, grow, right? That's what you want. You want it to grow. That would be an automated process. Well, that ain't what was happening, right? Because we had set up, like, okay, here's how we're going to do this. You're going to have to deposit your own money into your own account. And then you're going to have to track, well, how much did you deposit? And then do the math. In fact, let's set up a Google spreadsheet. So in a Google sheet, and you can give that access, not just to yourself, you can give access to mom and dad, and you can give access to the financial planner. And so then there's a communication, and as you tally up, okay, well, how much money did I make from all my various jobs and all my various paychecks over the course of the, all these weeks? And at the end of the month, okay, so here's how much it is. Let's do the math, calculator time, and manually figure out how much should transfer over, et cetera, et cetera. So where are the failure points? This is a process conversation. Where are the failure points? Did I deposit the checks on time? Did I recognize how much went in? Did I do the calculation correctly? Did I communicate about the transfer? Did I confirm that the transfer had happened? None of that was happening. Okay, so that's the punchline here. Nothing was really, really happening. Is it anybody's fault? No. And this is part of the thing too. Everyone had the right intentions. Our advisor had the intention to help us to save, help the boys save and invest and learn some financial disciplines. We had the intention of helping to teach them those principles. They had the intention to save money because they know, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I did save and invest, and 10, 20, 30 years ahead of an enormous pile of money. These guys are going to college soon. They're going to need money for that. So there's, some of that's long-term investing. Some of it's more of a shorter or medium term. And maybe there's things that they want to buy. Wouldn't it be cool if they want to buy a house or a car or whatever, and they had a big pile of money sitting there? But they're not. I can tell you this, they're not going to have a big pile of money if they don't just start. And their best intentions didn't get the job done. So as much as that was a little bit frustrating, it becomes easy when you put some systems and processes in place. And that's exactly what we are in process of doing. We're about to see if it works, right? Because we're going to do a November transfer because we're sitting here right at the end of October. So, is the money there? How much is moving over? Here's the amounts. Let's go. Turn it on. Flip the switch. Go. So it's pretty exciting. Replacing manual activity with a system and a process to replace good intentions with making things happen automatically so that your intentions are satisfied. There you have it. That's what we're talking about today. Get systems and processes in place. Your sanity goes up. You actually get the results you're looking for. And now everybody's happy. All right. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you again soon. Go ahead and put your comments below. In fact, let's show that on the ticker. Go ahead and click like and comment. And I want to hear your thoughts about this. What are some of your experiences? Where have you not had a system or process in place and were therefore not happy with the results? And then you stepped back and you put something in place. You automated what was intended to happen so it wasn't so manual. or you even figured out in the first place, you kind of drew the boxes. What are the boxes? What are step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4? Frankly, everything can be process mapped. I'm going to make that bold statement. Everything you do can be process mapped, step by step by step. Right? So you can do this, right? You can put a process around anything that you want. Anything that has a desired outcome, there's a process to get there. So figure it out. Share in your comments below what you think of this conversation and where you've had success and where you've had some struggles and what kind of ideas have come up for you. Join us over at the More Revenue, More Profit Facebook group. We'll see you there as we continue to expand and do some pretty cool things for all of the small business owners who are part of that group. Some of you are business leaders in larger companies. That's okay. We welcome you too. But it's for business leaders and business owners who are really trying to grow their company's profits and their cash flow. We know you're having a lot of struggles right now with revenue and profit and cash flow. And this conversation today hopefully will help in some areas where you realize, man, we're just not very productive. We're struggling. Maybe we're not getting things done on time, or the quality is not very good, or we're working too hard. Those are all clues, all signals that you might want to have a better defined process in place, right? So that's what today's conversation is: getting systems and processes in place, automating some of your activity so that it's not so manual, taking it out of the good intentions only. You and your team, your employees, you all want to do well. Don't leave it to chance. Get some processes in place. All right, we'll catch you again next time. Thanks for everyone for coming, and we'll see you again soon.